Some market watching. We're joined by Gemma Dale from nabtrade once again. Gemma, welcome back to Ausbiz. Now, last week you were bemoaning the fact it had been a pretty quiet week, low level of activity. Have things perked up at all this week?
We had a big day on Friday last week. Obviously the market moved quite a bit and there was a bit of enthusiasm. People came rushing back in to put their trades on. But the week we've just had has been incredibly quiet. So we've seen this real drop in volumes. A lot of our investors, as I've said, have just gone to the sidelines when the market's tracking sideways and they're just not seeing the opportunities they were seeing a few months ago. They just go to ground. So most people are happy to hold what they bought. They've made plenty of money. Most of them have done really, really well out of their trades over the last sort of 6 months. They've done really well and they're just sitting tight waiting for something interesting to happen at the moment.
Talking about this trading out, the sideways trading markets, I'm looking at the XJ right now, almost exactly at 6,000. It seems to be that level it's gravitating around at the moment. Gemma, I have to get your thoughts on BHP yesterday. Now, the big Australian became a lot bigger, 5% bigger in fact. What were NAB clients doing in response to that? Generally, they're a bit of a contrarian play, so were they selling?
They did exactly what you would expect. Yeah, right. So we saw enormous selling. 98% of our volume yesterday, or value of all of our trades yesterday, was a sell. So it's not everything that people hold, but when they get that opportunity to take profits, particularly in this environment where things are not really moving a great deal, they'll straight out take the cash, put it on the sidelines and wait for something interesting to come along.
Speaking of something interesting, Fortescue, it's been trading at record highs this week. Again, what's been going on with there? Like, is there people still dabbling at these levels?
What's really interesting in Fortescue, as I've mentioned, it's a very high conviction stock for our investors. So it tends to be big trade sizes when they do trade. It's not widely held like many of our others. So the banks are incredibly widely held. Everyone's got them. Fortescue is not as widely held like CSL. It's a much smaller group of investors, but they hold a lot of it. It's been really mixed this week, which is interesting. So we've seen a bit of buying. The bulk has been on the selling. So the big trades have been on the sell side, but there have been a lot of trades on the buy side. So we're seeing a real mix in it. People are not quite sure where it's going.
In terms of something else vaguely exciting, the bank's results start next week. So we have the CBA announcing on Wednesday, I believe. What's been happening with financials? Much activity there, or are people sitting tight with their positions?
Yeah, so this is one where clearly our investors, so they're very, very widely held. There are very few investors in our book who don't hold any financials. NAB's the most widely held, which is interesting. So for some reason, we just attract investors who really like NAB as a stock. And NAB has been traded through this week somewhat. The others have not been in there at all. So the financials were somewhere between 35 and 40% of our book at one point. They are now below 30%. And part of that is obviously price movement, but a fair chunk of it is actually selling down the portfolio. Generally, that 30% mark would be the volume of trades that go through in financials. This week it's been 12%.
Gosh.
So investors are just not willing to make a play at this point. They want to see the numbers come through. They want to see how serious things are or whether there's potential upside. What's funny with NAB, as I said, it's the only one that people have been interested in. It's been a buy in the $16 range and a sell in the $17 range. So they're really tight with that one. They know where they want to get out.
Nothing like a bit of range trading there. Gemma, correct me if I'm wrong, but it certainly feels like we haven't been talking as much this week, just the general chat about buy now, pay later providers. It seems eerily quiet for some unknown reason. Has that been replicating in volumes?
Yeah, we've seen exactly that. So they've been the great story over the last, well, since February really, and so many of our investors took the opportunity to buy them when they were terribly cheap, have enjoyed the run. Afterpay is the only one they've held for quite some years now. So they've held that for a couple of years and they've really enjoyed it. And then they've been trading all the others. It's been really wild. Everyone's had a great time. We've seen this very slow sell down. So it's quiet, it's very measured, but over the last week, you're seeing people just go, I might put that to the sidelines now, take a bit of cash off the top and keep it for something a bit more interesting.
And are investors still betting on the dream of a vaccine?
We are definitely seeing that. So we see real enthusiasm for that. It's international primarily, so Moderna's obviously in there. Novavax got a lot of press a couple of days ago, so there were reasonably positive stories coming out of that, and so quite a bit of buying there too. And then we're also seeing a bit of healthcare interest generally internationally. So Teladoc is one that we saw a little while ago. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's phone-based and internet-based doctors' services, effectively, medical support over the phone and over the internet and so on. That's been in there again. It's interesting that that was there a month or two ago, investors buying it. They didn't sell it and then they're buying it again. They've been tracking that one. And then Livongo, that one is new. We have not seen that before, but it's been very popular this week.
We're talking off air as well. Kodak and Nikola, two of my favourite stocks out there, weren't featured in the list this week. So a bit of a quiet period there. We'll see where they come back.
Have to wait one more week to hear the news on them.
Gemma Dale from nabtrade, always fantastic to go and chat. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, guys.